Go Oaktown.
Let's play ball.
Look out, here we go.
Here it is.
This is going to get ugly here. It is.
Hello, everybody. We're back. It's Christian and Schmitty with another episode of Skaters on Baseball. It's the morning after the Yankees have wrapped up the American League, and we're just hours away from Game 6 down in Chavez Ravine, where the Mets are going to be taking on the Dodgers, and we got forever giant Sean Manaea on the mound against the Dodgers' famous TBD. Christian, what are your thoughts? Let's get into this, huh?
Well, shit, I love Sean Manaea, and I know that he owns Ohtani because I've seen it in the flesh. So I'm excited about Game 6. You know, last night for me was just kind of a bummer because I was really pulling for Cleveland, and I thought, hey, I might dig this one out, but you just can't get there scoring only 2 runs. And then when you're making errors in the 9th inning, I mean, you know, that poor kid, he's a rookie. It's like he's excited, he's overamped. Everybody's, you know, every breath, every pitch, everything is so magnified. And so if you don't have all your wits about you, you know, a routine play can become a disaster like we saw last night. Now, that's not the reason they lost, but it didn't help. You know, I mean, that at bat with Soto was like, as soon as you saw him sort of nodding his head, like you knew something bad was going to happen, right? You know, 3 pitches in, he's like,
Revved up.
And I don't know what Gaddis was doing. I mean, it's like, dude, you got a right-on-right matchup with Judge next. Judge has not been the stronger of the two hitting-wise in the series. I mean, you kind of pitch around Soto. You load the bases with 2 outs. You got Judge. I mean, you live or die at that point, right? I kind of felt like it was bad pitch calling, bad. I mean, I get it. They want to challenge guys, you know, and he was definitely trying, but it just, you could tell Soto was like he was not going to get cheated, right? And so that was a tough one to swallow, but you know, Stephen Vogt and Cleveland, those guys deserve a lot of credit, and they deserve a lot of love from their fans, because going up against the Yankees that way, that was hard, and they made it a series. You know,
they made it a great series, and they played. Who'd they beat before? Detroit to get there.
So yeah, actually, Cleveland did go through Detroit. It was Kansas City that lost to the Yankees. I got that mixed up.
Okay, yeah. So I was going to say. The Cleveland-Detroit series was, you know, I went to pick up my coffee this morning, as I do every morning, because I'm just a little biatch about making my own shit, and I need to go pick it up because I just don't function before I sip it. So I go down to my coffee spot, and I pick up a coffee from the girl, and she knows me. I know her. How you doing? Da-da. And she's like, I'm nervous. And I was like, what are you nervous about? And she's like, I think that my team's going to lose tonight. I was like, hold up. Who's your team? The Dodgers. Ooh, and you make my coffee? Oh, this is starting to turn. Our relationship is turning here. And so what I told her is the same thing I'll say right now. It's, I think there's going to be a Game 7. I think Manaea is going to pitch well enough to get the Mets to the trumpet guy, and then we're going to go Game 7, and it's all going to be on the line. And here's the deal. I don't think the Dodgers can lose 2 games in LA in this magnitude, except for their track record shows that they can. So anything could happen.
Right. Right. Well, that's what I was saying. Like, never underestimate the Dodgers' ability to fold up in the postseason.
And is it going to be Yamamoto if it goes Game 7?
It looks like it. I mean, I don't know.
It's
what
not
Robert's,
Flaherty. It's got to be Buehler or Yamamoto.
It's going to be interesting any way you slice it. I think Manaea is up for it. I think he's up to the task, and it's really how can he get through that lineup 2 times. You know, because I think if they can get through that lineup 2 times, and if he can get through the 5th and into the 6th, it's all gravy for the Mets, right? Like, that's the whole thing, is because this time of the year, it doesn't matter which team you are, your bullpen's taxed. You know, these guys are tired, and it's like, it's all about pushing the right buttons, you know? And I think that Mendoza makes some pretty smart moves in terms of pitching stuff. So that's really what it's going to boil down to. The Mets are going to have to play good defense. They're going to have to get great pitching, and they're going to have to put some runs up. So Pete Alonso, no time like the present to get busy, start smacking some balls, And they got Vientos over there. They bumped him way up in the lineup now, So anything could happen. Anything could happen. But, I have a little piece of advice for you. I'd be careful getting coffee from that place from now on.
Yeah. But I told her, I said, when are you working next? Because if I see something that I like in the next couple of days, I might be smiling extra big the next time I see you. But yeah, dude, I was tripping on this because last night the Yankees are playing they're playing the Guardians, and I don't know the announcer because it was Darlene Francoeur and Brian Anderson. I don't know which voice is which, so I can't tell you who said it. But someone did say, I hate to say this, and you're probably going to think I'm crazy, but you might want to pitch around Soto here. There's an empty base. I know it's third base, but Judge might be a little easier option. And the reason being is, and this is why I think Soto's so good of a player, is the guy has great eye, and he doesn't tend to swing out of the strike zone often. Of course he does, but his percentages are much lower. And so I don't know, but yeah, you don't want to go 1-2 right down the middle. Like, you got 2 pitches to waste there too. I was surprised you didn't throw like one of those slow curves that kind of breaks just outside that you can't hit, but maybe you swing at. That was tough, man. It's, we love Stephen Vogt, forever Giant, and it was a great game. 2-2. Holy hand grenades. What a beast Giancarlo Stanton is. I was telling my wife he used to go by Mike Stanton, but he's Giancarlo now. And we looked it up, and his middle name is Michael. So I guess that's what it all revolved around. But would that guy hit 5 home runs? He got the MVP. He's following Shohei's lead by just sitting on the bench all game and looking like an underclassman that's overpaid. But these guys are producing. I mean, I was tripping on Shohei's stats. I mean, you're the statistician, but I'm guessing that you would agree with me. When Shohei is like, I think I looked it up, and he's like 10 for 38. He's got 16 strikeouts in the postseason, which is kind of alarming numbers, really, for a guy that's paid, $700 million a year. This is supposedly the best player in baseball. He sits on the bench the whole game, except for 4 times where he gets up to hit. That's it. I don't understand how that can even be in a conversation with guys like Mookie Betts, Soto, Judge, that play 9 innings. They're in the field. They're getting banged up for chasing balls and, the whole deal. Regardless, MLB's painted this picture, the narrative they call it, where it's like, yeah, but look at his average with runners in scoring position. It's like, dude, what is that? 8 times? 8 out of 38? Yeah, great. Like, okay, it's small sample size, man. Like, we know baseball stats are easy the first 10 to 20, but then at the end of the year, you've got 500 at bats, and it all works itself out. Shohei, to me, is looking like he's got a postseason monkey on his back already.
Yeah, maybe a little Kershaw rubbing off on him. I mean, listen, we can't undervalue hitting with runners in scoring position, because we both know that is a very, very valuable asset that the Giants didn't have all year, right? And for the last couple of years. So it's a really meaningful stat. However, when you get to the postseason and the only stat they will cite about Ohtani on the telecast is that, then you got to look at the other holes in the middle of that. And so I'm with you. I think it's all been overblown, that clearly the broadcasters are all pulling for this Dodgers-Yankees World Series, some nostalgic thing that hasn't happened since the 1950s. Is that what we're talking about here, the 1960s? And so most of the people that really care about a Dodgers-Yankees World Series are already dead. And I don't care about it,
Well, Ron Darling.
So I just want to say, Yeah. And so, last night I happened to jump on our buddy Eric and Glenn's little pod after the game for a little bit. And those guys, just the Soto fervor is out of hand. Like, do you guys not realize that he's cemented himself in New York? If not for what's gone on before last night, certainly after last night. I mean, his plate coverage is absurd. I mean, it really is. The talent is undeniable, which just makes it all the more unlikely that he's coming to San Francisco for any amount of money. Because I don't think they're going to. I think he's going to go north of $800 million, whatever contract he gets, and it's not going to be an SF. I think it's going to make the Ohtani contract look like, wait, they got him for only $7. I think it's the bidding war on Soto is going to go through the ceiling, and the thickest blood will pay, I guess.
Well, yeah. So here's the thing with that. I don't know if we want him, but we know that he would be a good Giant. We know that he would be a good addition to the team as far as stats and stuff. But the question is he going to come? It's not like, do we need him? We need him. We need a good player for sure. But he's not coming to the Giants. He's in the pinstripe. He's basically in the Ferrari in first place. He ain't going to the fucking Subaru in fucking 18th place. Like, why would he do that? For any amount of money, you don't want to be at the back of the pack. You're already in the front. And that's why Aaron Judge went to the Yankees. He used the Giants to raise his money, but he never was going to go anywhere else. He's the captain out there. And here's the only thing that is teetering me on like it might not be the Yankees is they got a lot of money invested in a lot of dudes. They got Aaron Judge, $40 million a year. They got Giancarlo Stanton. They got Rodon. They got a list of people that they're paying a lot, just like the Dodgers. But they don't have anybody deferring. They don't have anybody avoiding taxes. They're all like stand-up people out there. And Aaron Judge even signs autographs, so I don't know. Anyway, getting back to my story here, it's that's an issue. And here's the other issue combined with that. Can they pay Soto more money than they pay their captain? That's the thing that might be tricky. There's egos involved.
Yeah, there's egos, but I mean, how much ego is involved when guys are making hundreds of millions already? Like, is it really going to, I have a feeling, I could be totally wrong, but I think Judge is the type of guy. It's like, I want championships. I want rings, man. Like that's what he wants. And so if they bring in Soto and they pay him a little more than Judge, and I think Soto could eclipse Judge in terms of overall stats when it's all said and done. We'll have to see, right? But career-wise, I think that Soto is on track to actually come out with better career numbers than Judge. Not by a lot, but by a little bit. I think it's entirely possible. Both of them defensively are similar. Soto might be a little less on the defensive side. Hitting-wise, Soto's ability to rake and Judge's strikeout rate, I don't know, man. And I think that Stanton's on his way out. Okay, he was a monster in these playoffs, but that dude's getting up there in age. I mean, what's he going to do? I mean, sooner or later, he's going to be gone. They're going to lose that power bat, and they need somebody to fill that slot. Soto's the guy, right? So I don't think he's ever coming here.
What about Garrett
and I'm okay
Cole?
with that because Garrett Cole, if he opts out of his contract, could be interesting. Brandon Crawford's brother-in-law. You could see.
I'm just saying, Yankees got some shit that they got to put some money into, and so I think that they're leading. I think they're the leading team to get Soto, but I see a little snag possibility, which is definitely a way smaller percentage than this percentage that the Giants have to get Soto. Are the Giants in the top 3 teams? Yeah, they claim they always are for everybody, but who cares if you're second or third team in a race to get one player? It doesn't matter. What I think, though, is that Posey's pretty smart. He's going to be focusing with the new GM, whoever that may be, on their strategy, which I think is hopefully getting Burns, Fried, or Snell, another Top Gun arm to join Webb, and then a shortstop that can play defense and hit the ball a little bit. And then throw some chips out at the star guy that can sell jerseys and hit in the middle of the order, with the notion that like you need an A, B, and C. And so, there's a lot of talk about like maybe B and C, like maybe Soto's A, B and C might be a trade, because there's not, do you want Santander? Do you want Teoscar? Maybe, but and so like maybe go after Vladdy. And everybody, here's the thing too. I'm so sick of Bryce Eldridge already being a 40-plus home run hitter, batting 300 and in the fourth spot. The guy is suffering. They're overplaying him. He's exhausted. He is struggling big time in the fall league. He needs a break. Will Clark's talking all about it, how they should have just let this guy take a little break. They were pushing him way too hard. He's 19 years old. Let's slow down with Bryce Eldridge being the fucking next coming, or the Messiah. He's looking like a good player eventually, but like we can't just plug him in and say no Vladdy. We should be able to say we're getting Vladdy, and if Eldridge pans out, we'll figure out how to keep both of them.
Yeah, I feel like, my whole take, I've been being over on the other guy's channel a little bit and listening to all the banter about Eldridge. It's like, I told those guys straight up, Eldridge needs a solid year in AAA next year. Okay. So I've been thinking about Posey taking over and all of these things that are happening in San Francisco or are going to happen, is that 25 is a development year, right? Got to spend money and bring in some key pieces. Okay. You got to continue to work with the prospects and identify who's going to make it, who's going to get flushed out. And then 26, the offseason of 25, 26, that's when you make the push to spend even into the next tier. Because now you got all these other free agents coming up if they're available. Like you got Vlad Guerrero if you don't try to get them on the trade, right? There's a lot of people that, if they can do it smart, and not go throw $800 million at Soto, because that's definitely going to preclude them from filling all the holes they need to fill. And it's not like it's going to change in a year. Like, if we pay Soto $800 million, 12 years, okay, next year we're still going to be tapped out. We're not going to be spending what we need to spend to put a real contender on the field. And that's my concern. So these guys have all these lofty things about Soto, and it's all great. And sure, we can imagine what he'd be like in San Francisco. It'd be awesome. But that's not going to make a championship team. Sorry, it's not.
I guess the question I have is, are we being overly optimistic, or is it a pretty much pencil in situation where we're looking at the top 3 starting pitchers available and saying the Giants need one of those penciled in? Because I think that's almost more important than the Soto thing. Like, if they get Soto and no pitching, that's a problem. We need pitching and we need defense. We know that. And especially in the Giants ballpark, that's how we have the advantage. We play 81 games in the Giants ballpark, which is a gap hitting field. So pitchers pitch really well there. Let's get the best pitchers. Snell pitches great against the Dodgers. I think Fried does okay too. Burns probably does great too, actually. They're all great pitchers. I'll take any one of those 3. But I think that the Giants definitely can't, again, rely on Birdsong and Landon Roop and these young guys. Like, yes, they're looking very valuable and talented, but let's not stress them out and blow them up like we did with Bart and Luciano and these other guys. Let's learn from our past and give them a little extra love and make sure they're ready, and then bring them up and not send them back and forth. You guys are here now. You're ready for here. And that's confident building. And then if they're in a slump, they stay here and they work their way out of it. And that's how you become a solid baseball player. Not like, oh, you struck out yesterday, you're going back to sack. It's like, fuck that, man. It's like, you got to play through these things. All players go through slumps. I mean, Brandon Belt was notorious for being for forever, and then they kept him. Yeah, it's the same thing. Let's treat everybody equal, and let's, if we're stoked on Eldridge, I heard he's horrible defensively. I hear like he needs a lot of work. So again, you get Vladdy, and Eldridge can DH for a while and learn a position. He's not being rushed into a position where he's fumbling the ball all the time and looking like an idiot, and then that's affecting his confidence at the plate. You got to just think about all these things that like relate to each other. And we've watched baseball long enough that if we can figure it out, the fucking guys getting paid better be able to figure it out.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, you can look at the whole Farhan tenure and see all of the egregious errors that they made in terms of handling players, okay? Matos was major league ready. They brought him up. He looked every bit the all-star outfielder that he's potentially can be. However, the second that he went into a little bit of a slump after he had, he was player of the week in the National League, the guy was tearing it up, and I got to see it on skate day at Oracle that he had 5 RBIs that game against Colorado, smoking the ball. But then, a week or two later, he goes into this skid at the plate where he's just not hitting, he's overeager, whatever. And it's like, what do? They send him right back to the Cats, okay? And it's like, okay, when they brought Ramos up and they trusted him because they had no choice when Lee got hurt, look at what Ramos did. He performed, man. He ended up making the All-Star team, and it was one of those things where I think you have to identify, number one, if the guy is major league material, and number two, you have to give him a longer leash, understanding that it's a learning curve once you hit the major league level. You can face as many pitchers and as many batters in AAA all years and years of it, but until you play in the major leagues for a sustained period of time, we don't know what you're going to be. Any guy can come up from AAA to the majors and have a hot week right out of the gate, and everybody goes, "Oh, he's the great white hope," and then a week later he's getting sent back down because he struck out 6 times in a row. I mean, you can't handle players that way. You just can't. I mean, if you're a big, high-profile guy and you've had some big contracts and you've been up in the league for 5-6 years, like, they're going to let you play through all that crap. Brandon Belt's a perfect example. Hot, cold, streaky as hell, injured all the time, and yet every opportunity they had to have Belt in the lineup, he was in there. Didn't matter, Oh, he's 0 for his last 72. Yeah, he's starting today. So you can't have a multiple standard that way. And I do think Eldridge would benefit from spending a year in AAA, getting the defensive fundamentals nailed down. He's big dude, he's strong dude, he's got speed, he can hit like a monster, but you got to be a complete player, and that's what they have to try to develop him into instead of rushing him, like you say. I think it's crazy.
Yeah. I'm looking at a couple articles lately in the Athletic and wherever I can find anyone talking about the Giants, because as well as I do that once the red and gold down in Santa Clara take the field, everyone's talking football, and the Giants can't. If the Giants were in the World Series right now, they'd be on the second page is Taylor Swift going to be at the Chiefs-Niner game? It's just ridiculous. Anyhow, I saw this article where they're talking about possible trades and like players that teams want to trade and who, would be one of the top teams. This is so hypothetical, I understand, but this is the level that we're dealing with in the offseason. Anyway, I come to this area where they're talking about Jonathan India and how the Giants are the top contender to get this guy. And I'm thinking, Jonathan India plays second base. Okay, but maybe if they get him, what does that mean for Fitzgerald? Because they need to get a shortstop. So if they get Jonathan India, they still need to get a shortstop. I don't want to see Fitzgerald at shortstop, but I don't want to see Fitzgerald in another uniform. So I'm hoping he's penciled in at second base, or just like a roamer that like fills in, gives a guy in the outfield the day off, gives the shortstop a day off. I'll let him play shortstop occasionally, but I don't want him as my starting shortstop for the year. And then I'm looking at the pitching rotation, and help me out if I'm missing someone, but I see Logan Webb, Harrison, Ray, Birdsong, Roop, Hicks, and Keaton Wynn as possible options. You and I both want Hicks to just start in the bullpen and forget the dream of being a starter, which leaves Roop and Wynn and I think Birdsong's a little bit above those guys, and Harrison might actually be a little lower now, depending on how his off-season training is and stuff. He looked like he kind of had Patrick Bailey disease at the end of the year last year. He just kind of looked like he was losing strength maybe, or whatever it is. I know he conditions with Logan Webb, so I don't doubt this guy. He's got a lot of energy and a lot of, like, he wants to be out there and take the ball. Like, so I love the guy. But anyhow, getting back to the whole thing, there's only 5 starters on a team. That's a bunch of guys. We know people get injured a lot, especially if they have 3-letter last names. And I just want to see Webb and a co-ace at the top, and then figure out whoever the best 3 remaining of those guys are to fill in those slots, unless they decide even to pick up a 3rd guy. That these guys also are so important for the youth. Ask Logan Webb about, like, sitting next to, Buster Posey and these legendary older people that have done it, and he can just pick their brain and learn so much. This is the opportunity that a Birdsong, a Roop, a Wynn has, sitting next to a Logan Webb and a Blake Snell, even a Robbie Ray, who's won a Cy Young. So, like, there's an opportunity to really help the youth with additions, I think. And if we have a shortstop that's not making a lot of errors, the left side is just platinum. That's amazing. I love our outfield already. We're probably going to try to get a right fielder. I don't think Yaz is our everyday guy. And then first base, I think that's where we get our 3 or 4 hitter. If it's a 1-year contract for, I don't know, Goldschmidt is kind of on the way out. I feel like he's a little old. Christian Walker, maybe 1 year I could deal with it. Alonso, I could love that for like 2-year deal maybe. Vladdy trade, we've been talking about that forever. These are possibilities to get that 3 or 4 hole hitter. And if you did the rest of the work, now you got a competitive team. And like you said, Christian, 2026 is looking like we are going to be all engines going. Next year, I think we have a chance to make the playoffs if we do it right, but we're going to be like the Mets next year. We'll be a wild card team. We're not going to be able, unless the Dodgers get tons of injuries. They're slotted in the, they've won the National League West like 32 out of the last like 35 years or something. It's ridiculous. We need to change that. And I love what Posey said. Like, we're not the team that's like wanting to get into the wild card. We're the team that wants to win the National League West and get to the World Series and win the World Series. San Francisco Giants has that mindset. We need to like start acting like that again. Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's Eric and Glenn were talking about, go talk to Soto, and this is a championship pedigree team. And I was thinking to myself, like, that was 10 years ago, guys. That was 2014. We're in 2024 now. Like, the prestige of the organization needs to be restored, and that is going to come from A, results, and B, from names, from star power names. You mentioned Paul Goldschmidt. Goldschmidt has transitioned over from the left side of the infield to first base. I think Paul Goldschmidt, wherever he lands next, he's going to be a DH. I don't think he's even going to play in the field, right? Okay. So you want to go get Goldschmidt on a 1-year deal as a DH, and you can trust that he's going to be a reliable power hitting DH. Great. But he's not going to be running the bases real fast, and his defense touchy, right? What they really need, the biggest infield need, is a shortstop, a legit shortstop. Fitz can play second. If we have to live with Lamont Wade for 1 more year at first base, I'm okay with it, just based on his on base and walk rate and all that. Now, provided he can stay healthy. That's the one issue with Wade that I think is the biggest concern.
His legs.
As far as the rest of it, Chapman's locked in, right? We got some solid outfielders. And so really for me now it boils down to, like, what are the Giants willing to do to keep Snell in San Francisco? because I think out of all those pitchers that we've been talking about, Snell is the best choice, in my opinion. He's a lefty.
Okay.
I mean, imagine what he could do with a full ramp up, full spring training, knowing where he's going to be for the next couple of years, up to 4, 5, 6 years maybe. I think he'd be one of the best pitchers in baseball. I really do. And especially pitching at Oracle, which is a pitcher's park. He does well against the division. Dude's, I mean, shit, he threw a no-hitter. He threw a complete game shutout.
Lefty, too. I like that he's a lefty.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it gives you more options with the rest of those guys. Like you get to find, okay, you got Webb, you got Snell at the top, you got a whole slew of guys that you can plug in and see how it works. Robbie Ray, depending on his performance and his health next year, he can be your number 2, number 3 guy. Maybe Webb ends up as your number 3 guy. That would take the innings load off of him a little bit, I think, because I think they're burning him up, man. 200 plus innings every year. He's not going to last.
That's why I think that this is hard for me to say because I'm a huge Snell fan. I do want Snell, but I could see the Giants going with Fried or especially Burns because of how many innings they pitch, as opposed to Snell, who has a track record of not pitching long into games. And I do think that does put more pressure on Logan to go 7 or 8 innings to preserve the bullpen when the rest of the starting lineup isn't going deep into games. Like he needs to throw 7 or 8 innings because everyone's gassed. So if you got a Corbin Burns, for example, that goes 8 innings and you got Webb that goes 7 or 8 innings, all of a sudden your bullpen's a lot more healthier. So there's that angle. Sure. But star power, Blake Snell wins. He also is probably going to win salary-wise. So you have to put that into consideration that he's going to make more than these guys probably. But he is a lefty, but so is Fried. But he's already pitched with Patrick Bailey. He knows the team. He knows the ballpark. He knows, like, the city and how to get to the ballpark and get home. And, like, he's kind of felt it out and feels comfortable, right? Whereas sometimes you go to a new place for the first year and look at Longoria, look at Chapman. They had a rough kind of transition just getting used to this newness. So that is an advantage Snell too. I just love the guy. He's quirky and he's a great pitcher. When he's on, he's the best.
Yeah, I thought he was a little bit of a weirdo, but in a good way, And I think that I think out of all the guys, he's definitely a competitor at a very high level. I think that guy takes his job extremely seriously, and he wears it, man. When he's having a bad day, you can tell he's not happy with himself, And I like guys that are fully invested like that, So I mean, if we want to talk about Harrison, I think his biggest issue is just control. I think his mechanics get weird, and if that's fatigue, first full major league season, or if something's up where they have to like tweak it, we don't really know. Harrison could be trade bait, even though I hate to say it, because I think coming up and when he first got up, like it was like, wow, this guy's kind of scary. He throws hard, he buzzes guys inside, he's not afraid of the confrontation, but you got to have control that comes along with that. Landon Roop's promising, but it's so early in his career, we don't really know. Birdsong, same thing. Like, I think Birdsong's going to be a solid pitcher. Is he going to be top flight guy? We don't know that yet. So there's a lot of maybes, but I think there's enough guys that are potential starters that, go out and get the best guy you can get for the money, right? And solidify that number 1 spot, right? And Logan Webb just wants to win. I don't think he cares if he's number 1, number 2, or even number 3 in the rotation, right? He wants to go out there and give his best every day that he starts. So I don't think there's going to be a lot of push and shove with egos in San Francisco because they've never really built their team around that type of people, which is a great thing, provided these guys are all at a competitive level. So we can hope, of those 3 pitchers, I'd take any one of them, Fried, Burns, or Snell. 100%. I just feel like, to me, Snell has the biggest upside, even though he's probably the most expensive of the 3. Okay. he's going to be in high demand. I'm sure a lot of teams have been calling, and really, how do you make it like, listen, we're going to use you as a centerpiece, and we're going to build this massive castle around you, and it's going to be excellent. That's the way I see it working out.
Well, money wise, I think Snell is definitely a guy you can get by outbidding people. Whoever offers him the most money, I think will land Snell. I'm not sold on that for Soto. I think Soto, if he gets the right amount, no matter how many other people put more than that, if he gets the right amount offered from the Yankees, it's like, why would you leave a team that has the World Series championship and you're batting in between Giancarlo Stanton and Judge? Like you go from that to batting between Yaz and Chapman. Like, it's not the same. You're not going to get pitched the same. And so I just think like he's really in a comfortable place, and being in New York, being that cocky, arrogant guy, it's just built for him. The Big Apple, duh. So all that stuff, I wouldn't mind getting Soto now. I've been talked into changing my mindset where that is, but realistically, I can't go down that rabbit hole again that we've gone down the last 4 years in a row the exact same way. He's in town. He's at the Regis. He's going to sign. Like, no, dude, he's here to get more money from wherever he's going. That's the answer about that. So let's get Snell or let's get Fried. Those are my top two guys. And if you can't get them, Corbin Burns is our guy. St. Mary's was a close by place where he went to school, and we'll take it. Shortstop's going to be interesting. I'm hearing Bo Bichette's name a lot, which would be a trade. Adames is obviously kind of the leader in FA. And then there's always these rumors of Kim, and that's going to depend, like, is Kim going to be ready for spring training? And if he is, how good does he look? And have you waited that long to make this decision? Or are you just betting on Kim to be okay? That's the old Giants mentality. Let's get the guy coming off surgery. He's going to be awesome, and we can underpay him. That's not who I want. I want somebody that we can pencil in that plays, 150 games a year, and he's got solid numbers and very good defense. That's what I want at shortstop, because that's what I've had for most of my life. With Brandon Crawford, it was always he's playing and always countable defense. And I think the shortstop is, so important in that part of the field. But we can't finish talking about pitching without talking about JP Martinez. Apparently Price was here for 1 year, and he said he just wanted to do it for whatever reason, but he knew he wasn't going to stay long. So they've pumped up JP Martinez, Gabe Kapler's old buddy, and he's going to be manning the situation out there. The thing that I'm most interested right now at is how many things are going to happen, and they probably won't start happening until after the World Series. But I'm really curious to see how many things actually are official before we hear a rumor about it. Because I think that's a difference where Buster Posey seems to be very secretive and good at like holding his cards. And so we might just see someone get hired and be like, wait, there was never even a rumor. And that's kind of fun. Like, cause I don't really like hearing rumors for 3 months and then not getting them.
Yeah. And it would be nice if the journalism crew and the media people would leave the speculation to the fans. Your job is to go and get legitimate information from legitimate sources, and don't play the rumor game. That's for us to play. We could sit around on a podcast and then, muse about what if we got this dude, and what if we got that dude, and what are the years, and what are the money? That's our job. The John Heyman, put a fact out when it's a fact. Okay.
Right.
And I don't know. The other thing I was going to say that I've been thinking a lot about is this whole notion of under Farhan is get the Blackbird, take these broken wings and learn to fly sort of thing, which was just sucked. And we both know that the only exception to that rule would have been Shohei Ohtani, right? Because even after 2 Tommy Johns, because he was a two-way player and because he's so strong at the plate, it was worth the money. And I'm sorry, but if you're the president of baseball operations or the GM and you come out after the fact and go, well, we offered him the same amount of money that the Dodgers did, well, then you fucked up because you should have offered more. Right? Don't come out and try to make it sound like, oh, we did our best. No, you didn't. Because if you did, you would have given him an extra $75 million on top and you would have got him. Okay. You know, I'm so tired of that. And I think, like you said, Buster Posey's going to play the cards close to his vest. I don't think that he wants a lot of information out there before a thing is cemented and they know it's going to happen. And I like that. You know, it gives us a little less to talk about, but you know, I don't want to hear this. Oh, we're all in on this guy, and you're never getting him. You know, and that's like, oh yeah, we're all in on Juan Soto. Okay, whatever. Wake me up when he signs with somebody else.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah, there you go. I think we're pretty knowledgeable about baseball, and I think we can see what the Giants need, and I think we can come up with a lot of content without rumors from, you know, people just trying to do clickbait and stuff like, oh, everyone's going to love this. It's like, well, let's just be more realistic and look at shortstop and say, who could actually the Giants get and who would be the Giants type of guy? I don't think Soto's the Giants type of guy. I think, like you said, there's no egos on the team. Everybody's kind of a working class style guy. And to have this kind of prima donna dude as the only guy of that style with all these other working class style guys, I don't know that meshes well. I think in the Big Apple, when he's with Judge and Giancarlo and Rodon, and the list goes on, Cole, they have a bunch of stars and they got fucking, you know, actors and shit in the stands and stuff. Like, it's just more like what he kind of is all about. So I just don't see him coming to the Giants. And I'm going to put on the description underneath this podcast, October 20th, 2024, Schmitty and Christian say he is not coming to the Giants. So we can look back in history and say, see?
100%. And yeah, I mean, my take on the whole sort of blue collar working class type players, there are star caliber players in baseball that just strike me more as team guys. Jose Ramirez, even though he is a superstar in his own right, he strikes me as a real team type of guy. Like, Lindor, we're all pulling on the same rope. Like the spotlight is not about me. It's about all of us together. We're all working towards a common goal. And I think that's the success of the Giants in 10, 12, and 14 was all about that. It was team chemistry. It was the fact that every guy was there to pick up every other guy. You know, I mean, Pence said it, you know, we don't play for the number on the back. We play for the name on the front. Right. And I think that's been really true of the Giants, win or lose. I think that they've had that. And I think when they've tried to go against that formula, they've failed miserably, you know? So I just hope they go out, they spend a lot of money and they bring the right kind of talent that meshes into the system. And like I said, I think next year is going to be that year where it's like, okay, we put the building blocks together. We're going to run it out there now. And 25, a bunch of these other guys are going to become free agents. And that's where we're going to go like full tilt. And I think that's the way to become competitive in the division again. I think that's the way to give yourself a sustained success for the next 5, 6, 7 years, which is what you got to do in baseball. You can't put all your chips in for one season. It just doesn't work out, you know? So we'll see. We'll see.
Yes, we will. And I think the next time we chime in, we're going to have either a World Series announcement or a GM announcement. I just want to say shout out to Kalu Coletta, who sent me a DM saying, fuck YouTube, make a fucking podcast. Well, here you go, baby. We love being on YouTube Live. It's been fun. Sorry about you if you don't like it. We will continue doing podcasts as well. But join us if you're interested. We try to do live podcast style over on YouTube after a Dodgers loss, or sometimes just when we're fired up to talk with y'all. And if you come into the chat and make comments and stuff, we can build this community. It's super fun. So whatever, teach your own. Kalu Kaleta, big love, man. I'm stoked that you even pay attention to us and that you're angry enough to DM me because you want more. That fires me up to do more. So if you want something done, let us know, baby. Let us know. Christian's up north. I'm in the 415. Things are good. We're going to tune in 5:00 p.m. tonight. We've got the Dodgers trying to wrap it up against the Mets, and I'm hoping for a Game 7.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it, and I think Sean Manaea is your best bet to get there, right? You just need a little strong Mets offense and a little strong Mets defense, and let's get 5 to 6 innings out of Manaea and see what excuse Dave Roberts comes up with after a loss, right? Oh, exactly. He was under the weather.
And remember what
right off, let's
fuck the Dodgers. Fuck the Dodgers. Fuck the Dodgers.
Salvanos. Hey, thanks for listening, everybody. And we'll see you soon, or talk to you soon, or hopefully hear from you soon. Email us, skatesonbase@gmail.com. DM us. We're on Instagram at skatesonbase also. And then we're on YouTube, Skaters on Baseball. So tune in. Let's play ball. Giants are going to spend money like they have the last 2 years. This year, we're hoping it's just a little more productive with the dollars and making a lot of sense.
Yep. Spend it on the right guys. Get the right results.
Peace out. Thanks, Christian.
Right on. Yeah, Schmitty. Thanks for listening to this episode of Skaters on Baseball. If you liked what you heard, please spread the word. Give us a good review, or hell, blow us up on your social media if you're down. Follow us at Skates on Base on Instagram for baseball news and other fun stuff. We love comments and listener participation, so bring it with an audio clip or an email. You can email us at skatersonbase@gmail.com. We're everywhere you get your podcasts, and we'll be here all season long.
Let's go, San Francisco. Let's go, Giants.
I'm excited to give everything that I have for these next 6 seasons and, see where it takes us.
I can't say it anymore, Complete game, shutout, no hitter, leave me alone.
See you soon. Thank you.
And I am forever a Giant.